What's going on, everybody? Now, that was one of the worst. I'm gonna get right into it. That was one of the worst games, one of the worst coach games I think I've ever seen in my life. A tale of two halves. The Chargers dominated in the first half. I thought they were gonna win this thing by 2 touchdowns. Then you come out in the second half and they're just completely inept on offense. This Joe Lombardi thing, and I've made several videos about it. I've talked about it. This Joe Lombardi thing is going to get Brandon Staley fired. Brandon Staley is going to get his ass fired if he continues to let Joe Lombardi do this to this offense. This is ridiculous. How long is this going to go on? And I just said a couple weeks ago, or no, I just said last week, Joe Lombardi is going to lose this team some games, and you just see what happened. The play calling in the second half just absolutely puzzling. Even from the pretty much the start of the second half, right after the Chargers go down, they score that touchdown with 4 minutes left. Or no, they took 6 minutes off the clock. It was 9 minutes left. They come back the very next drive, backed up in their own territory at about the 10, 15-yard line. Joe Lombardi comes out and starts running all three straight plays, all slow developing passing plays, right? When the Chiefs, they clearly, and they pointed it out on the broadcast, the Chiefs had switched Chris Jones from Zion Johnson over to Matt Filer, and he was beating Matt Filer with speed moves, right? He wasn't doing that to Zion Johnson. He couldn't get past Zion Johnson, but he was beating Matt Filer with speed moves, and the rush was coming. So what does Joe Lombardi do? Three straight slow developing plays, and we're lucky we didn't turn the ball over at that point. But it literally went downhill from that point on, man. Um, how good of friends is Brandon Staley with Joe Lombardi? Really, how good of friends are they? Does he owe him? Does he have a life debt? Does he owe him a life debt or something? I don't know, man. I don't know. This was bad. This was very, very, very bad. Very bad. Nobody's fault. No, it was. This was a joke. This was the Joe Lombardi special again. Three straight slow developing plays backed up into your end zone. Right after you had just stopped the Chiefs. Three straight slow developing plays with the Kansas City pass rush coming, and that Kansas City kind of figured it out in the second half. Right, they put a lot more attention on Mike Williams, and they pretty much just played back and let Justin Herbert throw short, come up, make tackles. That's pretty much what they did. They really didn't do anything special in the second half. But that is the way to play Joe Lombardi. He's going to throw. Justin Herbert's going to throw 6 and 7 yard passes to death. Right? He's just going to do that. Just going to continue to do that, and that's what the Chiefs did. They sat on it and they rallied to the ball. It is not hard. It's not hard to game plan against Joe Lombardi. It doesn't matter who you have playing quarterback. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And what happened to all of this stuff about the run game? I want to know what happened to that. What happened to all this stuff, all of this bullshit that you hear in the preseason about the run game, the Chargers didn't do anything in the run game in the second half. They didn't even try. I don't know why. They were running the ball pretty, efficiently in the first half. They were okay with it. Why? Well, I don't get it. I don't understand. I do not understand. I don't understand. I cannot understand. Also, you get how many touchdowns did Austin Eckler have last year? He had 20 touchdowns last year. Austin Eckler doesn't get any red zone snaps at all. He doesn't play in the red zone. Why is that? And somebody who scored 20 touchdowns last year doesn't get any red zone snaps in 2 games this season. Anybody who knows offense would not let that happen. Like this only bolsters my point, and it only proves my point that Joe Lombardi doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Justin Herbert is saving Joe Lombardi. We clearly see this. You have to shout out to the defense. They played really well tonight. They did drop a lot of picks. That was a BS call in the first half to take the pick away that Nasir Adderley had. But I mean, man, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I really don't know. The offensive line, the offensive line issues. I mean, it was an issue. There, guys got hurt, but think about it. Storm Norton played last year, right? He played last year when we beat the Chiefs over there, and the Chiefs were a lot better than they were this year. So I don't know. It just there was no adjustment at all. It seems like no matter what is going on, Lombardi has a second half game plan that is going to consist of conservative stuff. They went down the field to Mike Williams in the first half, right? 1-on-1. Went down the field to him. Where was that in the second half? There's no pressure being put on the defense at all. You're letting Chris Jones, the defensive line, tee off on Herbert because they can get there, right? They can get there. And if Herbert doesn't get the ball out in 2 seconds and he's looking around, they're going to get home. They're going to get home. And you know why he's not getting the ball out in 2 seconds is because everybody is running short intermediate routes. And all the Chiefs had to do, put their linebackers, bring their safeties up, just literally build a wall right there because nobody's getting open. So he can't throw it here. He can't throw it there. He can't throw it in the middle. He can't throw it right. Nobody's down the field. There's no options down the field. So there's nowhere to go with the ball. The Chiefs are literally sitting on everything that the Chargers are doing because everything is intermediate. You don't have to have a good game plan against Joe Lombardi. You can just come out and literally do that on the fly, and that's what they did. Second half, Spagnuolo, they did that on the fly. Just literally sat there and just waited for Herbert to throw a ball, tackle a guy for a 5-6 yard gain, or let the defense get there and tee off on him, right? They only had 2 sacks, but they hit him, and obviously Herbert was injured, towards the end of the game. I think he's going to be all right. I don't think he has anything broken or whatever. We'll see, but I don't think he would be able to play if he had like a broken rib or whatever. I think it's just a matter of him dealing with the pain, and he did so. Like he was a G. He really showed what he's made of. But this game plan is flawed. Again, how long is Brandon Staley going to let this happen? You can't. There's just no way you can do this. You cannot be a 2-half team. You can't look great in the first half and come out and shit the bed just like they did. The defense did its job. The defense did its job. And again, the offense let us down. The interception that Herbert threw, Gerald Everett had just caught, what was it, a 25-yard pass, 25, 30-yard pass while carrying 2 guys. He was gassed. He was trying to come out of the game. What does Lombardi do? They go hurry up at the goal line. Why? Why do you go hurry up at the goal line and throw it to a guy who clearly is gassed? He was just carrying 3 DBs with him all the way down to the 3-yard line. Why go hurry up and throw it right back to him? Austin Eckler scored 20 touchdowns last season. 20 touchdowns. Why do you do? I don't get it. I don't understand. I do not understand. We were dominating in the first half. We didn't need any trickeration. We didn't need any of that stuff. The line was doing their job. And honestly, the Chiefs are a little small up front. So it doesn't matter if you go fast. It doesn't matter if you go slow. You hand the ball to Austin Eckler, he's going to score touchdowns, right? Put Xander Horvath, get a lead block, go in there. He's going to score touchdowns. I just don't understand. I really, really do not understand. All that money spent, and exactly how the draft pick, Zion Johnson, balling. Why don't you run behind him? Why don't you pull him? Why don't you let him take people's head off? I don't understand. I really, really don't understand that. Really don't. Herbert threw the ball almost 50 times today. Why? What the hell? Why get all these running backs? Why sign Sony Michel? Why draft Isaiah Spiller? They're not going to run the ball. This run game is not good. This is not a good run game because Joe Lombardi does not know how to put a good run game together. Again, great value Sean Payton offense. This is what the Chargers are running. This is a great value Sean Payton offense. This is not the New Orleans Saints offense because we've seen what the New Orleans Saints did when they had Alvin Kamara, right? Or they still have, when Sean Payton was there. He turned him into a perennial Pro Bowl, right? And is Alvin Kamara not getting the ball at the 3-yard line in any game that the Saints play? No. Austin Eckler, he obviously is not the physical specimen that Kamara is, but he scored 20 touchdowns last year, and he scored a lot of them in the red zone. What the hell? I do not understand it. I don't understand it. I don't. Sean Payton is waiting in the wings. You damn right. Sean Payton is waiting in the wings. All of you, all of the Brandon Staley fanboys, y'all better, y'all better get your praise and stuff in right now when you can, because if this continues, you damn straight Sean Payton is going to be there. Sean Payton is going to be the head coach of the Chargers next season. This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand. I do not understand. I don't understand at all. Joe Lombardi was rushing because that's what he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know offense. I want somebody, anybody in the comments, anybody watching, please give me Joe Lombardi's accomplishments outside of the Chargers. Please give me his accomplishments. He wasn't the offensive coordinator in New Orleans. He was never the offensive coordinator. That was Sean Payton. Sean Payton designed the offense. He was calling plays. He wasn't the offensive coordinator. So don't even say that. What has Joe Lombardi done? Give me his accomplishments outside of what he has accomplished in 2021, right, as the offensive coordinator. What are his accomplishments? What are his accomplishments? He don't have none. And his name is on the damn Super Bowl trophy. He don't have no accomplishments. He's a 51-year-old man, and he's not an offensive genius. If he was an offensive genius, he would have been hired a long, long time ago. Sean McVay got hired. I am 32 years old. Sean McVay got hired as a 32-year-old head coach, right? He was 32 when he first got the Rams job. This is what offensive genius is, right? And the only reason why the Rams didn't want to hire him, the Rams wanted to get a coach that was a little bit more experienced, but they had to because I can't remember where he had his next interview, but they were hearing all the scuttlebutt. His next interview, he was going to get hired, and I can't remember who. I think it might have been Arizona, or I'm not even sure what, but they knew that he was an offensive genius, so they was like, okay, we got to lock this guy up here. It doesn't matter what his age is, we need to do that. If Joe Lombardi was that guy, it would have happened to him a long time ago. Trust me, because his grandfather is the great Vince Lombardi. His name is on the Super Bowl trophy. It would have happened a long time ago if this guy knew what the hell he was doing. He does not. He doesn't. He just does not. Thoughts on 3 interceptions overturned. It happens. It happens. But what you have to understand is that this defense can turn people over. They can turn people over. They did their jobs. They collapsed the pocket. They made Patrick Mahomes play boring football. This is the way that you beat the Chiefs. They made Mahomes play boring football. Mahomes wanted to go downfield. Mahomes was flustered. He was clearly frustrated. They showed the camera several times after he got hit by Mack and Bosa. He was frustrated. The defense did what they needed to do to beat Mahomes because the defense, as bad as it was last year, they did the same thing in week 2. They did just enough. The Chiefs scored 24 points and the Chargers ended up winning 30-24. They did the same exact thing last year. Same exact thing, same exact blueprint. So the defense did enough for the Chargers to win this game. The offense didn't, though. This offense is regressing. It is regressing. They were number 5 in the league last year. They are not. They're regressing. They're getting worse. Eye tests, stats, everything tells you that they are getting worse. And who is the guy running the offense? This is Joe Lombardi running the offense. They are getting worse. I just don't understand. I do not understand how you have a guy who scored 20 touchdowns who doesn't get any reps in the red zone. I just don't understand. I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't get it. How many interceptions does the ref take away? And they didn't even review the forced fumble on Kelsey in the end zone, and then the refs don't stop the clock. Yeah, but the game was already out of reach when the last one with the clock. I mean, they should have stopped it, but I mean, whatever. It is what it is, right? The game was pretty much over at that point. The fumble on Kelsey, that was the ground cannot cause a fumble, so that wouldn't have been overturned anyway. That was a hell of a body slam that Derwin James, though. He was pissed off. That's crazy. I never seen him do that. He's strong though. Kelsey's a big dude, so that was great. But that wouldn't have the ball wouldn't have came to us. The ground couldn't cause a fumble. So especially when you're up in the air, he was up in the air for like a second or two. So they blew it dead there, and I think that was the right call. But the ground can't cause a fumble. That wasn't coming to us. The refs did take away the interception in the first half, but how many dropped interceptions? Van Noy just dropped the interception in the fourth quarter. Asante Samuel dropped the interception in the fourth quarter as well too. And that probably would have been a pick 6 if he keeps his hands on it. They dropped interceptions. The Chargers left some turnovers out there. The defense did, but I mean, for what it was, the defense played well. That's what you do to Patrick Mahomes. They had him flustered. They did a pretty good job against the run up until that last little 52-yarder that Edwards-Helaire had, but they were okay. The defense played well enough for this team to win. You cannot have Justin Herbert and not score. You have to be putting up close to 30 points. Again, last game, 24 points. What we got this game, 23 points. That ain't good enough. That's not good enough. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. That's just not good enough. You have the weapons. You have Mike Williams balling, right? Obviously, we miss Keenan Allen. I don't think Josh Palmer and Justin Herbert are on the same page, especially in the first half. They had a lot of miscommunications. I don't know what went on. I mean, you can blame the short week to some degree, but they don't seem like they're on the same page all the way together. We lost the center and right tackle. Yes, we did, but they played well enough for the Chargers to score more points. That just can't be the end all be all. Will Clapp is not the best center in the world, but I think he did an okay job. He did an okay job in relief of Corey Linsley, and Storm Norton did an okay job as well too. Like, the pressure is coming in because these teams know that the Chargers are not going to go downfield. That's why the pressure is coming in. That's why these guys on the line, defensive linemen, they're pinning their ears back, right? And if Herbert doesn't get rid of the ball in 2 seconds, he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit, and he knows it. He has to get rid of the ball. And you see him going through his progressions, right? He's going through his progressions. He's scanning left to right, right to left. All of these receivers are all in the same general area. They're all between 5 to 10 yards. And yes, he has a gun. He has a gun for an arm. But those are hard throws. Those are difficult throws. Very, very difficult throws to make. So that's why he's kind of sitting in there. He's unsure. Should I make this throw or not? Like, those are throws that can get jumped by DBs, and he knows that. There's no separation. The offensive game plan is not really calling for any separation. They're playing man. Nobody's running man beaters. They're running little routes that are just, little outcuts, whatever. There's no man beaters. There's no crosses. There's no drags. There's no deep drags. Nothing like that. Nothing to free up some space for Herbert to actually sit there and make a throw that is not in a tight window. Notice all of these throws that Herbert makes, tight window throws. Those are good every now and then. You cannot bank on making tight window throws 17 games in NFL season, every single game. There's no way. There's absolutely no way in hell. The Chargers won't make the playoffs in doing that. There has to be layups. Notice with the Kansas City offense, there's always layups, right? Always layups. And Mahomes is not always the most accurate and all that stuff. But the Kansas City offense always has layups for Mahomes. They always have layups, right? Whether it's to a running back, whether it's to a tight end, whatever. They scheme the layups in there. So all Mahomes has to do is just flick a wrist and bam, he touchdown, whatever. You seen the touchdown throw over J.C. Jackson to the receiver Watson. That guy is like, he's a special teams practice squad guy. That's built into their offense, though. It's a layup. It's a one-on-one. Just throw it out. All he had to do was just step up and just throw it over J.C. Jackson. It's not a tight window. Literally just throw it over his head, and you catch the ball, touchdown. Those are layups. Notice Justin Herbert never has layups. Ever, because they're not schemed into the offense. Everything is zigzagging and going across within an intermediate range, 5 to 10 yards. That's hard. That is hard to do. That is extremely hard to do without, going downfield, without having a deep field threat. And I'm not saying he should throw the ball deep every time, but you have to put pressure on defenses. You have to make safeties get deep. The safeties are not deep. The safeties are up in the action. Why? Why are the safeties up in the action? Our safety's not up in the action. Our safety's playing deep because they know Mahomes can get a layup anytime. Nasir Adderley is patrolling deep in the middle of the field because he knows that if I'm not here, this could be a layup to Kelsey or to one of the other receivers. You have to have layups in your offense. Justin Herbert is too good. He cannot come out and just make window throws all the time. You can't. That's not fair. That ain't fair. That is not fair. That's not what Peyton Manning has to do. That's not what Tom Brady has to do. That's not what any of the greats have to do. Just make tight window throws because you're running 7 to 10 yard intermediate routes. That's bull. That's bullshit. That's ridiculous, man. The defense was smashing Mahomes. They were. We could have saved half the money and got an offensive coordinator. Like I said, how much does Brandon Staley love Joe Lombardi? Because this is getting ridiculous. It is getting absolutely ridiculous, and it's getting predictable. I can put a defensive game plan together that would stifle the Chargers. I feel like I could put a game plan together that can keep the Chargers at 17 points. I could. If I had a week to prepare, I could put a game plan that will stop the Chargers, that will stone them. Because there's nothing, once the game starts getting close, once Joe Lombardi, once that the momentum starts to dissipate, and once things start to get close, Joe Lombardi will go conservative. He will go conservative. So if you can withstand that first half, just like the Chiefs did, you're gonna win a game. You're gonna win a game because you know that Joe Lombardi is going to take the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands. He is going to make him as ineffective as possible, right? Which is hard to do because I think Herbert is the most talented quarterback in the league, just from everything, from the whole entire standpoint: size, arm, smarts, guts, all of that stuff. I think he has the whole entire package. But when you stifle him like that, you make it easy. You make it easy for teams, and that's why teams are able to, bam, just like that, within, how long is halftime, right? 8-9 minutes. Teams are able to go into the locker room and easily develop a game plan to stop him in the second half. What other great quarterback has that ever happened to? Were teams able to go into the locker room and stop Peyton Manning? No. Were teams able to go into the locker room and stop Tom Brady? No, they weren't. They weren't. If you were going to hope to stop one of those quarterbacks, you probably needed to come off of a bye. You needed a whole entire 14 days to get a game plan ready to stop those guys. You're not going to go into the locker room for 5 minutes and change a few things and stop these guys. That's not what happens. That ain't what happens. That's not what happens to great quarterbacks. But it happens to our great quarterback. Why? It's not him. It ain't him, because Herbert, he will make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And that's what they've been giving him, a big helping, spoonful of chicken shit. Joe Lombardi, Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley is to blame for this as well, too. Brandon Staley is letting this shit go on just because he knows Joe Lombardi. BS. Looked like JC was starting to rip the ball out before Kelsey hit the ground. Maybe, but you got to think about it. They ruled him down. So it would take a lot for them to go to the booth and overturn it. So, it is what it is. You're probably not going to win a lot of those. They can review it all they want to, but they're going to go, most of the time, if they're not sure or if the evidence is not clear, they're going to stay with the call in the field. So I don't think you can really blame that. The ball, yeah, he took the ball away from the best players. He did. He made their rookie DBs look like Pro Bowl. Well, because they don't have to do much. What did they have to do? What did they have to do? The only one who's getting roasted was Fenton. Fenton was getting roasted because they put him in one-on-one with Mike Williams in the first half because they wanted to play a little more aggressive. They wanted to bring some more blitzes and stuff in the second half. And in the first half. And they were one-on-one Mike Williams, and he balled out. But where was he at in the second half? Don't know. Where's 15 at? Jalen Guyton. This offense is getting worse, bro. That's what I'm saying. This offense is getting worse. It's not getting better. This offense is getting worse. And like I said, everybody was talking so much stuff about the run game. The Chargers don't run the ball. They don't run the ball. Joe Lombardi is not committed to running the ball. He ain't. He's just not. He's not committed to running the ball at all. He just doesn't. Like I said this in the offseason. You got to take some throws away from Herbert. You got to take some dropbacks away from him. You got to take some opportunities for him to get hit away from him and run the damn ball. Why do you draft Zion Johnson if you're not going to run the ball? And the Chargers were not running the ball. The Chiefs were soft up front. They're soft up front. I know they talk about Chris Jones and all this. Chris Jones is not great against the run. He's soft. Zion Johnson was handling him. There were several. I think the Chargers had 5 runs of at least 7 to 8 yards. And Zion Johnson was pancaking the shit out of Chris Jones. So I don't want to hear about that. Chris Jones is more effective when he's able to pin his ears back. And he's a big guy, but he is a little, nimble. So he's able to go past guards sometimes with some speed moves. And that's what happened. He put him on Matt Filer. He was able to go past Matt Filer several times. And he hit Herbert a bunch of times. And, one of the times was probably when he got hurt. So, this is who the Chargers are. This is who they are. Is the Herbert injury bad? I don't know. I'm going to, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to check. I don't think it is, though. Okay, you're gonna play. No adjustments. He has a game plan that he goes to in the second half, and that's what he is. Again, what is Joe Lombardi's accomplishments outside of being the Chargers offensive coordinator? Nobody can tell me anything. Nobody can say what are his accomplishments. He has no accomplishments. He doesn't know what he's doing. 200 million saying yes, exactly, for the same result. They got there a different way, but it's the same result. Same exact result. Defense played B+, offense played D-. Offense was an F. Offense is an F-. What's the lowest grade you can give an offense? That's what I give this offense. The lowest grade you can give an offense. We could have went for it on a couple fourth downs, but as well as the defense was playing, it was the right call to not go for it, especially in the first half, right? The defense was playing well. They were getting pressure on Mahomes. They were really creating pressure. They were really collapsing the pocket, and they really stayed disciplined because there wasn't too many times, aside from the 2 touchdown passes that he wasn't really able to step up in the pocket like he wanted to a lot because Austin Johnson was doing work in there. Sebastian Joseph Day was doing work at the line of scrimmage, and then Bosa and Mack, they were keeping contained. So he did not have the comfortable pocket that he normally has. They made him play boring football. And Mahomes playing boring football is a beatable Mahomes. I've said this all the time. He's beatable. You look at his numbers weren't all that great tonight. Like, those are numbers that get beat all the time. Those guys put up numbers like that all the time and get beat. So it's not about the numbers and what he did. It's about how they wanted to play. They were not able to hit and execute on a lot of their explosive plays and stuff like that, right? You make them go down, you make them drive because they're going to make a mistake. Somebody's going to make a mistake. You want them on 10 and 12 play drive because 12 play drives, they're going to make a mistake. And Mahomes got frustrated, and even in the late second quarter, early third quarter, he was forcing balls in there because he was, frustrated. The Asante Samuel pick, the drop pick, I mean, I thought he caught it. It looked like he caught it. I don't think they should have overturned that, but he forced the ball to that receiver. That guy was not open. He wasn't open, and he forced it to the receiver because he could not step up in the pocket. He couldn't run out. He couldn't, scramble left, scramble right like he always does. That he wasn't able to do that, so he got frustrated and forced the ball in there. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, but the defense did enough, though. The defense definitely did enough. Let's see. Now the time to it is. And Brandon Staley, I'm telling you, man, he's gonna learn the hard way. He's a young coach. Sometimes he has his head up his ass, but he's gonna understand. He is going to understand sooner or later that you cannot attach your wagon to a guy like Joe Lombardi or anybody else who is unproven, for that matter. Guys have to prove it to you. Your coaches underneath you, your coordinators, they got to prove it. And Joe Lombardi is going to, Brandon Staley is going to learn this the hard way. He is going to learn this the hard way. See, and this is one of the things that doesn't really get talked about, right? How do the owners, right? Dean Spanos, how do the owners react to this, right? Because we've seen all of this stuff all week long. Justin Herbert and Mahomes and everybody has talked about, these guys and how talented they are and all of this stuff. Everybody has talked about it. You see a game like this as the owner, right? And you say, okay, I do believe that my quarterback is just as talented as Mahomes, right? You can say that. Why doesn't it look the same when they play? It should look similar when they play, right? They should be doing similar things. How come it looks easier for him, right? Is he that much more talented than Justin Herbert? And I don't believe so. And we've seen Patrick Mahomes break down several times with his throwing motion, his mechanics, all that stuff. We've seen that all go to shit several times. If you got to think about, owners don't really know, and for the most part, don't really care about what type of offense you run. They don't really get into the X's and O's. They're businessmen. They got a lot of their billionaires and all that stuff. They just want to know, why doesn't my quarterback look like that guy over there? If they're both the same, right? If they're both on equal footing, how come it doesn't look like it when my quarterback plays? Why is it so much harder for him? Why is my quarterback getting hit and injured and stuff? Why does it look like this for him, but it looks like that for that guy? That's what the type of questions that owners ask. And those are the type of questions that an owner can Spanos can sit Brandon Staley down and say, hey, Patrick Mahomes' offense looks a little easier and, a little less, pressure on him. There's more open guys that he has. Why doesn't it look like that? We have a much more talented offense. Our offensive lines are pretty much the same as well, too. Why doesn't it look like that for us? You have to think about this. This is coming from an ownership standpoint. Like, you got to think about that as well, too. Like, Brandon Staley, I don't think he thinks about that. I think he's just literally just living in the moment. And it's like, bro, you're going to have to answer for some of this shit pretty soon. All of the hype and everything and all of that stuff, that only takes you so far. You need results. And you cannot have a quarterback like Justin Herbert and not get results. You just can't. It's not good enough. It is not good enough. With this team, with all this money that's being spent, it's just not good enough. It's not. Think about it. Brandon Staley, 19 games, 10-9 now. He's 10-9 as a head coach. It's going to come to a point where people are going to start asking questions, and Brandon Staley better have some damn answers. He better have some answers because it is going to get to that point. It really is. This is ugly, and it should not be ugly for such a talented team. The Chargers have the most talent in the league. 1-53. They have the most talent in the league. You see, Michael Davis didn't even play tonight. And he can go start at corner for how many other teams in the league? Like, there's so much talent on this roster. From 1 to 3, there's talented guys on the practice squad. And just the video that I did earlier today, did Christian Covington play today? Number 95. They signed him back to the active roster. He didn't even play. And they cut and were willing to risk losing Breeden Fehoko to put this guy on the active roster, and he didn't play. What? That's what I'm saying. This stuff needs to be questioned. All of you Charger fanboys, all of you Brandon Staley fanboys, question this. Question this. It should not be this hard. It should not be this hard. Like, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It should not be this hard. Never looked this hard for Peyton Manning. Never looked this hard for Tom Brady. Again, this is who I think Justin Herbert is up there with. It doesn't look this hard for Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't look this hard for any great quarterback. It looks this hard for Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott. Why does it look like this for Justin Herbert? He's not in their category. He's much, much, much superior than those guys. But it looks the same way. You can turn this, if you just transpose Kirk Cousins' body onto Justin Herbert's body, you would think, oh yeah, this is a Kirk Cousins game. This is the Vikings, right? Kirk Cousins is, whatever. He's throwing little 5-yard outs and getting hit a bunch. That's what you would think. That's what you would think. This is crazy. It's crazy. So many Blanco, look at the rest of it. That's just not. I'm just not. Yes, there were some calls that were unfair, but the Chargers blew this. Do not take the onus off of Brandon Staley. Do not take the onus off of Joe Lombardi. Like the ref argument, it takes a certain element of accountability away from these coaches who are doing a shitty ass job. They're not putting the players in the right positions to succeed, and they're just not doing a good job. So the ref thing is just not. I don't want to hear. The refs are not in the building from the game plan from Tuesday to Saturday. It's the coaches and the players, and the coaches have to do a better job. They have to do a better job. Brandon Staley has to be responsible. He's not just a defensive coordinator. You're the head coach. You're the head coach. This offense and all the woes that the offense are having, this is on you. This is on you. If you're Brandon Staley, this is on you. You are the head coach. You hired this offensive coordinator. You put this offense in. This is on you. You're responsible for this. You are responsible for this. Good question. Is the season over? No, I mean, obviously it's not over. There's still games left. But as long as Joe Lombardi is sitting up there calling plays, there's only a certain level that this offense and this team is going to reach. And honestly, if you are a defense, right, the defense is balling, the defense has really done its job. It's not good enough to just have a defense that goes out there and does its job. It's just not in today's modern NFL. You got to score points. It's just what it is. It is what it is. This is not the 85 Bears. It's not the 80s. It doesn't happen like that anymore. You have to score points. You have to put pressure on teams. You have to put teams away. When you have the opportunity to score, you need to go in and score. You need to be aggressive. You need to put the pressure on. You need to continue to put pressure on, and you need to continue to make adjustments. It's like playing chess. You have to keep matching what your opponent is doing. You can't take your foot off the brake. If your opponent is playing aggressive, you got to go over the top, right? If they're playing passive, the short game and all that stuff is fine, but you have to continually make adjustments. You can't just say, we're going to do this in the second half no matter what they do. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. The NFL don't work like that at all. Barty is Herbert's ball. Yes, he is. He's his ball and chain. He is his ball and chain. Oh, man. First year, let's see. First year, Staley got a pass. If this year goes bad, GM has to change up because the players who have experience with it. Yes. They are going to tune Staley out pretty soon. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. It ain't. It's not good enough. Like, people have to understand this ain't good enough. You can't blame the refs. You can't blame anything. No, it's just not good enough. The Chargers didn't spend all that money in the offseason to come out here and blame the refs for things that they could have controlled. All the dropped interceptions, the bad play calling, the lack of a run game, the lack of even attempting to have establish a run game. There is not, like, it's just, there's nothing. I don't get it. I don't understand. Anybody remember, if you're in the chat and you remember the Thursday night game last season, the Chargers and the Chiefs. If you remember that game last season, do you remember late third quarter, the Chargers were running the ball like a mug. They kept running. I think they had 6 or 7 straight runs, and they ran it from I think their 20, 25 all the way down to the Chiefs red zone, and they just kept running and kept running. And it was Austin Eckler, it was Josh Kelly. They just kept running the ball, and they kept running it until the Chiefs showed that they could stop it. They just kept going and kept going and kept going. This was the same Joe Lombardi calling that game. Same guy, same exact guy calling that game and calling this game. What's wrong with doing something until the other team is showing that they're committed to stopping it? What's wrong with that? I don't get it. There are too many 8-yard games in this game for me to say, oh man, we couldn't get the running game going. BS. Put the pressure on. Because even at that point, it's going to make the game so much easier. It's going to simplify it so much. They're going to come up. You're going to have the middle of the field to work with. Obviously, Herbert can make these throws, play action. It's so easy. It's very, very simple. I don't understand. Like, does Joe Lombardi get cold feet or something? I don't get it. I don't understand. I really don't. I really, really do. I really don't, man. Only time we didn't to Super Bowl against the 49. Well, I mean, we Charger, so Charger. Why were the Chargers rushing before I heard his coaching staff is always did? Don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There was no reason to. There honestly was no reason to. It was a tie game. It was a tie game. I have no idea. It doesn't make sense. And then the play call was to the guy who just caught the pass, the 30-yard pass, while carrying several people on his back. And a guy who didn't obviously play in the preseason. His conditioning is not up there yet. It's not up to the peak level where it should be. So I don't know. I have no idea. And you got a guy who scored 20 touchdowns last year who didn't get the ball in the red zone, in Austin Eckler. I have no idea. And like I said, there were too many 8-yard gains for the Chargers to say, oh, we can't get the run game going. Especially if you bring in a heavy package. Xander Horvath caught a touchdown again in the first, it was the second quarter, I think. First or second quarter, whatever it was. The second week in a row. Why don't you bring him in and run the same thing? And then the read will just be different. You can run the same play, and instead of Horvath, the tight end McKitty will be open in the back of the end zone. I don't get it. I have no idea. I have no earthly clue. Doesn't make any sense. It really does not make any sense to me at all. You can easily tell the Chiefs are missing Trent McDuffie. He's definitely their best corner. Yeah, but did we take advantage of it? No. It doesn't matter who. It honestly doesn't matter who's playing defense for the opposite team. The Chargers ain't going to take advantage of whatever the other team's weakness is. They're just going to do what they do. Herbert's going to amaze, and he's going to make amazing throws in the first half, and then the second half, they're going to shit the bed like they always do. That's just what it is. We have to be used to it, man. We got to get used to it. Barty is the offensive coordinator version of Gus Bradley. No adjustments at all. But at least Gus Bradley had success outside of, the Charger stint. He was, he put together that Legion of Boom, that defense, that Super Bowl team, right? He put together that defense. And yes, his scheme was simplified as hell, right? It was a very simple cover 3 scheme and all of that stuff, but it worked for a really long time in the league, right? It worked for like at least 3 years, right? Even before they got to the Super Bowl, after they won that other Super Bowl, his scheme worked. The thing is with the quarterbacks like Mahomes, the guys who can run around, it got outdated after a while, so it needed some adjustments. That's all Gus Bradley's problem was. That was outdated. It was just an outdated thing, and that's why Mahomes always used to rip us up playing that cover 3. Obviously, we know that he is a guy that likes to get out, right? And you bring your safety down, and if you don't get pressure, then you have the middle of the field to work with Travis Kelce. We already that scheme was so outdated. It just needed an update, right? If you go maybe cover 2, maybe a Tampa 2 shell, maybe mixing with some man coverage, he would have been fine. But Gus Bradley had success outside of the Chargers, and Joe Lombardi is the opposite. He hasn't had any success outside of the Chargers. He was an offensive coordinator for like what, a year and a half in Detroit, and he sucked. He was not good. He wasn't good in his offensive coordinator stint. And that was 2014, 15, I think. He wasn't good. Joe Lombardi has had no success outside of the Chargers, outside of Justin Herbert. He has hitched his wagon to Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert. That's all he is now. He has had no success. If he was to go anywhere else tomorrow, he would not have any success. They would probably have the bottom 5 offense in the league without Justin Herbert. That's who Joe Lombardi is as a coordinator. That's who he is. That's why he's never been a coordinator anywhere else outside of Detroit and outside of LA. Nobody else has poached him. He's 51 years old. He's not a young guy anymore, right? He's coached more years than he has left. So I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense to me. Keenan stabilizes bad offensive coordinator. Well, yeah, because Keenan's smart. Keenan balls under any offensive coordinator. You have ballers, you have Pro Bowlers, you have Hall of Fame guys who are going to get theirs under any coordinator, and they're going to make whatever scheme work to their best advantage. But for the most part, you don't have mostly Hall of Famers on the roster. You have guys that need to be put in positions to succeed. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to have a lot of offensive success. And we've seen that so far. So yeah, frustrating, Glenn. What's the whole thing? Hurt my feelings. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Oh man, shout out to Step of Faith Ministry, super sticker. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Blaze, thank you for the super sticker as well too. I appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys. Let's see. Then Lombardi coach for Peyton. Yes, Lombardi coached for Peyton, but he was the quarterback's coach for a really long time. He was the quarterback's coach for a really, really long time. And this is the key too. I don't think a lot of people understand this. When Sean Payton was leaving, Sean Payton put like a little succession plan in before he left, right? Before he retired and all of that stuff. It wasn't a super surprise to people in the organization because he had a succession plan. The offensive coordinator right now for the Saints, Pete Carmichael, he's the guy. He's the guy that Sean Payton handpicked to be the offensive coordinator. That's why Joe Lombardi is here with us, because he is who he is. But this is the succession plan that Sean Payton had. The Loomis family that owns the Saints, he pretty much put that in with him. And he has Pete Carmichael as his offensive coordinator. Dennis Allen did end up getting the head coaching position, but Pete Carmichael got interview. He got a head coaching interview, and that's the guy that Sean Payton put in charge. Pretty much to say, when I'm gone, this is the guy who I want to pretty much, succeed me after I'm gone. And that's who is there in New Orleans now. So Joe Lombardi wasn't a part of that. Joe Lombardi didn't get interviews. Joe Lombardi wasn't thought of as an offensive, not even an offensive genius, but as a guy who can successfully navigate the Saints once Sean Payton was gone. A lot of people don't understand that. They don't realize that was not for, that was not a position that Joe Lombardi was ever going to get. That's why he's here with us. So I think that's interesting that, Joe Lombardi was a guy, he was in New Orleans for a really long time. A lot of people credit him with working with Drew Brees and all of that stuff. And he must be a really nice guy because people say a lot of nice stuff about him. But when it comes down to calling plays and all of that stuff, he's not that guy. He ain't that guy at all. So yeah, that's cold-blooded. So we got Sloppy say, yes, we did. We got Sloppy say he was the quarterback coach. He was the quarterback coach for a long time. And like I said, he was not in line for that Sean Payton replacement. He wasn't thought of in that light. And when you go and you take a deep dive into his background, you can see and you can really understand that everybody has something nice to say about him as a person. And they don't really say anything about him as a coach. And I thought that was very interesting as well, too. Because when Staley got hired, and I didn't really know who he was. I mean, I knew he was the coordinator with the Rams. But as you go and as you dive, you do some deep dives and you talk, or you look at articles and you look at stuff on the internet and you hear some of the superlatives that people have to say. A lot of people were calling Staley a defensive genius. He looks at the game. He looks at the defensive game from a quarterback perspective. So he's effective defensively, all of this type of stuff. They didn't really, I mean, people were saying, he's a nice guy and all that stuff. But all of Joe Lombardi's superlatives are him. Oh, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. And he was in the military. Thank you for your service and all this type of stuff. It's never like, oh, this dude can, he can put up 35, right, as offensive coordinator. It's never any of that stuff. It's just all personal type of stuff. So I thought that was interesting too. And that's why I was kind of worried when I first seen that. So Yeah. Let's see. Chargers should have kept Pep and elevated his position. I thought so too. Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton had a lot of experience and a lot of success at college. I don't know if anybody watches college football. I'm a USC fan, but I remember him working with Andrew Luck at Stanford. Right, he was pretty much the guy who made Andrew Luck. Him and David Shaw, they were the guys who made Andrew Luck. Uh, pretty much a NFL quarterback. I know Harbaugh worked with him a little bit, but once Harbaugh took the job with the Niners and he left Stanford, it was David Shaw and it was Pep Hamilton who were working with Andrew Luck. And they were running the West Coast offense at Stanford. I mean, they still do to this day. But Pep Hamilton has a lot of experience in the West Coast offense. And this is, it's pretty much a similar offense to what Andy Reid runs, the Chiefs run. There's a lot of different, like, personalizations that can go on in the West Coast offense. That's why all of these West Coast offenses look different. You look at the Eagles offense, right? Philly, they run the West Coast offense as well too. Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, the former offensive coordinator for the Chargers, they run a similar West Coast offense, but they are more run heavy. But they kind of tailor the offense to what Jalen Hurts' strengths are. That's why Jalen Hurts looks good. He's not a great quarterback, but his offense is pretty much tailored to him. Obviously, Mahomes' offense is tailored to him too. The West Coast offense, you can do a lot in it, and that is one of the main offenses where you can get a lot out of Jimmy Garoppolo. You can get a lot out of Kirk Cousins. You can get a lot out of guys who are not like typically, up there like with the greats, like just okay quarterback. You can get a lot out of those guys in the West Coast offense because the principles are just so simple. The running principles are simple, but the passing elements of it are simple too, right? It's just like levels, intermediate, or short, intermediate, downfield, and you can literally tailor route concepts and all kinds of stuff like to fit what your quarterback does. So you can imagine what Justin Herbert in his third year can do in a West Coast type of offense. It would be ridiculous. He would 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, easy. But that's not the offense that the Chargers run. And Joe Lombardi, like I said, is running the great value Sean Payton offense. And the Sean Payton offense is more of the way that he constructed it for Drew Brees. It wasn't a deep shot offense. It was an offense that stretches you this way and not this way because Drew Brees couldn't make all those throws all the time. Every now and then they'll take a shot down the field, but it stretches you horizontally. And that was fine for Drew Brees. It worked for Drew Brees because he was able to anticipate all of his throws, right? His mental was really above his physical, and that's why he was so great. All the yards, all the run, like mostly a lot of run after catch stuff with the Saints. But the Chargers don't do that. They don't do that. They just stretch they just stretch the field like that horizontally just for no reason at all. Because obviously Herbert has one of the strongest arms. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks down the field. But they just do it for no reason. They do it because that's the offense that Joe Lombardi knows, and he hasn't tailored this offense to Justin Herbert whatsoever. Justin Herbert is running great value Saints offense, so that's what it is. That literally is what it is. So yeah, man, I want Pep too. So yeah, let's see. Joe is the Achilles heel. As long as he play calling for the Chargers, we will win. Yeah. I hope he gets fired soon. He's gonna have to get fired soon, or Brandon Staley's gonna get fired, and they're both gonna go. Ain't no reason to fire. Like if I was Staley, I would say, hey man, ain't no reason to fire us both. You got to go and let Shane Day have his crack at the offensive coordinator position. But unfortunately, this offense is going to have to change up. They're going to have to go to another scheme next year. No matter what happens, I mean, anything like short of a Super Bowl win, they're going to have to go to another scheme next year. So everybody's going to have to learn a new offense because this is not working. It does not work. And there's really no way at this point for Joe Lombardi or anybody else to customize this offense to Justin Herbert because it is a horizontally stretched offense. Let's stretch this way and not this way. And it's kind of funny because Justin Herbert kind of ran something similar at Oregon. They were kind of doing the same type of stuff, but Herbert was still balling, doing that. It was that Mario Cristobal, and I think it was Marcus Arroyo was the offensive coordinator. I think he is the head coach at UNLV now, but they were still doing like the same kind of stuff, like we're going this way and we're not going to go this way. And that works in college, but it doesn't work in the NFL. So yeah. Let's see. Good news, we showed that Casey isn't good enough to beat us. Yeah, we have to beat ourselves. I mean, short of the Bills, I don't think anyone beats the Chargers. I mean, we'll see. But with Joe Lombardi, man, anybody can beat us. So Chargers should. Oh yeah, I read this one. Let's see. Lombardi makes me wish we hired Josh. And oh hell no, Josh McDaniels, nah, man. Josh McDaniels is probably just as clueless as Joe Lombardi is, in my opinion. Outside of Tom Brady, I don't think he is. No, I just don't. The cherry on top was JC got burnt. What blew me was your franchise quarterback is grimacing. The game is out of hand, and you decide to keep him in. If Herbert hurt, yeah, 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 yep. I agree with everything. I agree with everything that you said right now. If Herbert is hurt, yeah, I agree. You got to go because although this was a really bad game, you got 10 days until your next game. You want to get Herbert evaluated as quickly as possible so you understand that there is an injury there. But yeah, no, I think if you keep him in to do, play this last game, the last few minutes, and you still don't end up getting the win, definitely, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Jerry Jones will fire Lombardi in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, Jerry Jones will be out there talking to the media right now, having a 30-minute press conference, just talking shit about whoever it is that was whoever's fault it was. Play calling, 201 seems is yeah, yep. He's not using Eckler, the guy who had 20 touchdowns, right? And everybody was talking about him in fantasy and all this stuff. Yeah, man, crazy. Another super sticker. Thank you so much, Deb of Faith Ministries. I really, really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Lombardi, so predictable. Oh man. Funny thing is that everyone is starting to see the problem. Colin just said that our offense just isn't creative enough. Everybody's starting to see it now because after a offseason of hype, this is what happens. This is what happens. If you're not all the way buttoned up, if everything isn't running on all cylinders and you don't have a offensive coordinator or a play caller who really, really understands what they're doing and really is trying to put the most talented quarterback in the league in a good position, then you're going to have this. And this is what happens. We're being exposed. I think it's a good thing. It's embarrassing right now, but I think it's a good thing. I don't think Lombardi makes it, out of the season. I don't think he makes it with the Chargers outside of this season. I really don't. I think he gets fired sometime probably during the season. One more performance like this, and you can bet, like you can bet that he'd probably get fired after that game. I think he's probably got one more performance like this. One more. Cracking up about Jerry Jones. Yeah, no, Jerry will do it. I mean, for good or bad, Jerry doesn't play like that. If you come out and you lay an egg like this, he's going to come out and he's going to go to the media and he is going to be outside the locker room holding his own personal press conference, calling people out. Because he just did that after the game on Sunday when they lost. He was calling out CD Lamb and stuff. Oh, they got to be better and all this. It was like, yeah, he watched everything from his owner's box and he's down there, criticizing everybody. That's what he does. And he would fire Lombardi because this is unacceptable. If the Cowboys had Justin Herbert or anybody who was comparable to him and they wasn't balling like that on the national stage, there would be no way. Jerry would be embarrassed and he would bring the hammer. He definitely would. Definitely would. But yeah, guys, this was not a good game at all. This was not a good game. This was embarrassing, a tale of two halves. You can't be good in the first half. You can't be all world in the first half and come out and just shit the bed in the second half. You just can't do it. You can't do it. And this is the second straight game that it happened. And, a lot of people were saying that, if this happens against the Chiefs, they're going to beat us. And that's what happened. The Raiders were just not good enough. They weren't disciplined enough. They are, they obviously have new coaches and all that stuff, but they're just not disciplined enough. You can't do this against Andy Reid. Andy Reid's just going to sit there with his big ass mustache, chew his gum, and just think about, okay, we're just going to be easy, take it easy, tell Spagnuolo to do his thing, right? That's just what happens. You can't do this against good teams. You can't. If we don't fire Lombardi, what if we hire Sean Payton, rehire Staley? That's the maybe. I don't know. All I know is that if Sean Payton got hired, Sean Payton would be calling the plays. Sean Payton would make Justin Herbert into a Hall of Famer. And Sean Payton would want to call the plays. He's not going to let anybody else, take that from him. He would call the plays for sure. As far as defensive coordinator goes, I don't know. I have no idea. I think Staley would probably, maybe try to get a job somewhere else. I think somebody would hire him. I think people like his aggressiveness, but as of right now, man, it's really not. This ain't coming together. It's funny that we have an offensive system designed for someone like Breeze, whose physical assets are less than the opposite. Yes, it is. It is. But that's just what it is. And not only that, there's no creativity either. Because when you watch the Sean Payton offense, there is creativity, there's movement, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot for a defense to look at, and you can't really key in on one thing. There's all kinds of movement going on. There's a lot of jet sweep action. There's just a lot of different things to look at. They throw tight end screens. They do just a lot of stuff, and he can just really just throw it at you at any point in the game because his playbook is vast, and he understands when to use like certain things. He understands when to run the ball. He understands when to throw the screens. He understands when to go deep, and sometimes like he'll just throw deep just to keep a defense honest if they're not expecting it, and all of a sudden they're going deep, defense is panicking, maybe they get a pass interference penalty, whatever. The pressure is always on. You can never be comfortable. Sean Payton's calling plays, you can't be comfortable as a defensive coordinator. You're not comfortable until the game is over, till that clock is at zero. That's what Sean Payton does. So yeah, it looks like we spent $200 million on advertising field seats with famous names. Pretty much. This defense is going to get tired of bailing the offense out, though, because this never works. Like modern day NFL doesn't work like that. You look at the Bears. Look at the Bears over like the past 4 years. They've had fantastic defenses with Khalil Mack and all that stuff. They get tired and they don't make the playoffs. If you have a shitty offense and you can't move the ball and you can't score points and you can't put pressure on the other team's defense, your defense will tire out. Guys will get hurt and it just doesn't work for the long term. So, hey, it is what it is. It's the opposite of Herbert. Yeah. Yep. After years and years, losing becomes an art. Yeah. We find if there's a way to lose a game, the Chargers will find it. You can guarantee. Thanks for the live. I do appreciate you. You have a great day. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Let's see. When does a team have to get rid of unexpected man? Good question. I don't know. Herbert has changed things. Now, if this was Phillip Rivers, boy, this would be ugly. But Herbert changes things. You honestly believe that you can win just based off of Herbert's arm every single Sunday. It doesn't matter who's calling plays, whatever. He's changed things. And I think, obviously for the good, but at some point you start to look and you start to realize that this guy can't do everything. He can't do it. And it's not fair to go out there and ask him if he's hurt, if he has a broken rib or something like that. It's not fair to go out here and ask him to save the team because Joe Lombardi didn't put the ball in people's hands when he needed to. He didn't run the ball. He didn't establish a physical presence on offense. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. So now it's time for Herbert to go out there and save us and be a hero. That's what he did last year. And that's what they said it wasn't going to happen this year. But so far, that's what it's been. That's really what it's been. J.C. Jackson got torched, by the way. Yeah, he did. He was looking in the backfield. He didn't. It's obvious he don't respect any of the Kansas City receivers because he kept looking in the backfield all night long. He doesn't do that when he plays against Stephon Diggs. He wouldn't have done that with Devontae Adams. But the dude Watson, he didn't think that he can beat him, and he did. He beat him down the field. So yeah, he got beat. He needs to be a little more. I know he's aggressive, and that's part of the reason why he's so great. But he needs to be a little more disciplined. See, we had a chance to interview Dable from the Bills if we waited after the playoffs a couple years ago, but we said, yeah, I remember that. A lot of people were talking about Dable to the Chargers, but hey, we got who we got now. So Sean Payton ain't a fool. That's why he was just trying to work his way into the franchise. He knows that's why he kept saying, oh yeah, what's the Chargers? Yeah, I like the Chargers. I would take that job. Of course he would. He would take that job over the Dallas job. Because if he takes a Dallas job, he got Dak Prescott to work with. Jerry's hovering over him, and they have huge salary cap issues right now. They're not going to have a chance to really get a lot of great players on offense, so I don't think he would waste his time there. See, good news is next 3 games are winnable. Yes, hopefully Justin Herbert is not injured seriously, though. That's one thing we're looking for. You're at the goal line, Lombardi State. Why are you acting like you down by school? I know. It was a tie game. Like, I don't know. I have no idea, man. These are questions that they need to answer. And there's going to be a lot of, I don't know if you guys watch other channels and all that stuff, but from what people tell me, there's a lot of fanboys, Staley fanboys. There's a lot of Joe Lombardi fanboys, fillators, as I like to call the guys who give these coaches, they take the accountability off them and they give them two hand twists for everything that they do, and they just apologize for them even when they're not good. So you might see a lot of that. You might see a lot of that. You might see a lot of ref blaming. I don't do that. I don't do that here. Ref blaming ain't something that I do. If you have a chance to win the game, you win a game, and the refs shouldn't have anything to do with it. Your week of preparation is done in the building, away from referees. Referees ain't got shit to do with your game planning. They ain't got nothing to do with your play calling. You have to go out there and execute, and you have to put the game away. And there was a chance for the Chargers to put this game away, and they didn't do it. So I have nothing to say about the refs and all of that stuff. But hey, it is what it is. Hey, stop taking shots at Phillip. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like this, we are so hyped up because we know what Justin Herbert is. Like, we knew Phillip Rivers was to some degree, especially later in his career, year 13 and 14. We knew, okay, he might. Damn. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Okay, well, if you guys can hear me, I'll be back tomorrow. My battery pack and the camera just went out. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Really, really, really appreciate it. I will be back on here tomorrow. Obviously, whatever news comes out, injury fronts and whatnot, I'll be back on here covering that. Definitely talking about it. Probably do another live stream as well too. I like the back and forth. I like the chat. I really, really appreciate all the support though. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So have a good night. Don't be too upset. There's still 15 games left. So yeah. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.